Hello and welcome to this week's news bulletin from the Christian Institute. An assisted suicide storyline on ITV's Coronation Street is set to reach its conclusion next week. Transsexual character Hayley Cropper will take a cocktail of life-ending drugs after suffering from pancreatic cancer. Julie Hesmond-Hulsh, who plays the part of Hayley on the TV soap, says she personally supports assisted suicide. It's not hard to be in favour of it, people whose minds are extremely keen and alert, but whose bodies have gone. I wouldn't want to live in that pain and anguish or see my family and friends go through it. I've always really understood Hayley's decision. But Alistair Thompson, a spokesman for Care Not Killing, said there's a danger that such storylines gain widespread publicity and normalise suicide, sparking a spate of copycat deaths from people in a similar plight. What the soap should have done is show how people can access good palliative care. The Edinburgh Secular Society has called on the Scottish Government to remove religious representatives from education committees. Currently, the committees are required to appoint 3 representatives from religious organisations, one from the Church of Scotland, one from the Roman Catholic Church and a third from another religious group. But Green MSP Patrick Harvey says, in a society in which increasing numbers of people don't practice any religion, it's high time that we question the practice which gives religious hierarchies an influence over every child's education. The Church of Scotland, however, hit back, saying the role of its representatives is one of service and support that reflects its contribution to education since its vision of a school in every parish helped in establishing Scotland's universal education system. Staying in Scotland, and a top human rights lawyer has said that the SNP's plan to appoint a state guardian for every child under 18 may be unlawful. Under Alex Salmond's Children and Young People Scotland Bill, children will have a named person whose powers will cut across the rights of their parents. QC Aidan O'Neill said that the SNP's plans amounted to unjustifiable interference and failed to protect people from arbitrary and oppressive governmental powers. Meanwhile, at Westminster, a move aimed at giving greater protection to charities and voluntary groups to campaign freely in the run-up to a general election has been backed by peers in the House of Lords. An amendment tabled by Lord Harries and supported by over 130 organisations relates to Part 2 of the proposed lobbying bill, which includes tighter financial controls on how non-party groups operate. But Lords partly rejected this by voting 236 to 193 in favour of the amendment, which would mean meetings, media events and transport costs will be excluded from any proposed spending caps on charity groups. Activities such as church hustings, which could have been caught by the previous spending limits, should now be unaffected. Some groups, however, don't think the move goes far enough and want individual constituency spending limits raised too, as well as further changes to protect democratic freedom to be incorporated before the bill becomes law. The British Board of Film Classification has released new guidance which will see some films containing very strong language have their age rating reduced to a 15 certificate. Following extensive research and consultation, the board say that films aimed at teenagers aged 15 and over will be more flexible on swearing, but also that U-rated movies will have less bad language. Justifying the new guidance, the BBFC say context, not just frequency, is the most important factor in how language in films is perceived by the public. The report also highlighted that the public is particularly concerned about the sexualisation of girls and pornography. The content of music videos and the ease of accessibilities of online porn are special worries. David Austin, the organisation's assistant director, said they are already working with partners on a pilot project looking at how an age rating system for online music videos could work. But Safer Media, a charity which works to protect children from media harm, have criticised the new guidelines, saying parents and children are being let down by a regulator who is no longer interested in regulating. Meanwhile, TV cookery star Mary Berry says swearing on television is inexcusable and makes children think bad language is acceptable. Berry, who co-judges the popular BBC show The Great British Bake Off, made the comments during an ITV interview with Piers Morgan. When asked about fellow chef Gordon Ramsay's swearing on TV, Berry said she didn't like it.
And I don't think there's any excuse for it, and I think if the young are watching, they'll think it's normal and they can do it. I don't like it at all.
Gordon Ramsay has previously attracted large numbers of complaints after he used one swear word 115 times during his Ramsay's Great British Nightmare series. And finally, a Christian mother whose son was murdered in a horrific, unprovoked attack nearly 12 years ago has found comfort through visiting prisons to talk to killers. Lynn Connolly from Liverpool has told the story of what happened to her son Paul and how she and her husband Mick got through it to some of the country's most violent criminals. So far, Paul's killers have said no to a meeting, but Lynn says she takes comfort from the fact that her story has prompted other serious offenders to show genuine remorse. She told the Prison Ministry Conference about some of her experiences inside.
As I began to share about what happened to Paul, you know, people's gaze would go to the floor, and I could tell that for a lot of them, our son was stabbed to death, and for a lot of them there, that was their crime. I looked out and I just felt God's love for these people. And, you know, although the people who killed Paul have never ever said sorry, these people did. And they were just listening so intently. And as I'm talking about, you know, the horror of what happened, you know, they just listened to me. And after I shared my story, you know, I'm able to say there are two sides to my story. And the second part is that I'm a Christian and that I've experienced God's love. And in the group time, you know, one young man said to me, "How do you spell Jesus?" And you just think they know nothing.
Lynn also recalled the moment one prisoner hugged her at the end of a session and said, "I wish you were my mum." She says she is determined that Paul's legacy should be one of forgiveness. Well, that's all for this week. For more information and regular updates on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.